What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I hope you all are so excited to receive the best hour you have ever received in your entire life. Why? Because this hour has it all, baby. Hope, positivity, inspiration, motivation, empowerment, encouragement, the whole nine. So I hope you are excited. Get ready, pull up a chair, pull up a couple of shots, let your hair down, kick your shoes off, and catch the great energy that is in this room, because it is all dedicated for you, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Joseph JAFFE is not famous. Me, Tom Arnold, I am very famous. I absolutely because it's very true. Like, I hadn't freaking heard of you until I was sitting on a Friday night. This is how bad my life is. Listen, fucker, good luck. Good luck with your rebranding. Like anybody knew what the name was before. What was the name? Okay, who gives a shit? That's a good name because it's got your name in it. You can pretend you're humble. You say, I'm not famous. And, which you aren't. So you're just not being anyway, but I hope you get famous doing this. Good luck to you.
A spring in your step. There is a twinkle in your eye.
I can throw a rhyme down for you real quick. Yes, they call me Thrill. They say that I'm the man. You disagree? How could you? Let me make you understand.
Should we bring her on the show? And anybody find me? And there she is.
Fresh as some bread. Pull right from the oven. When you feel rejected, get some my loving.
Take on me.
She looks wonderful. Mom looks amazing.
Somebody to. Okay, more bugger off now. I've got to show it to you.
Like that?
Joseph JAFFE, ladies and gentlemen.
You just made the new intro of the show. Well, welcome everybody. It is the final episode of the show for 2021. I guess I turn into a pumpkin. I hibernate. I pine for the fjords. I introspect. Maybe I'm going to go visit a shaman in Peru. Who the hell knows? But what I do know is that I have an amazing, amazing guest to bring us home. Mr. Glenn Lundy. He is the champion of the breakfast. He is, I think, maybe one of the brightest lights, shining lights during the last 2 years, based on what he's built, based on what he's building. And if you do not associate the name Glenn Lundy with breakfast, you will very, very soon. I can promise you, I can assure you. Well, let's get into, there's a lot of stuff to have to walk you through. I want to talk to you about the JAFFE coin. I want to talk to you about my cryptocurrency. And, this is in a way, my way of reflecting, of looking back at a year when I didn't even know what the word Ethereum meant. I didn't know what an NFT was. I'd barely heard of Bitcoin. I end up with a coin, 34 cents when it launched. And today it's sitting at about $8.50. And the thing that has given me the most joy is watching people that partnered, this is not financial advice and I won't use the word invested, but I will say invested in the JAFFE economy, in this community, and just seeing what has really happened to them. But let me take it further. Let me take it one step further. I issued a couple of, maybe 3 now NFTs. I love this one. I love the fact that I created a cartoon. I commissioned the cartoon. A freelancer, a gig worker on Fiverr created the cartoon. I paid $5 for it. But then I had a little trick up my sleeve. I turned it into an NFT. And if you want to actually buy the rights to use this cartoon in your pitch decks, in your investor decks, in your presentations, in your keynotes, to talk about the future of work, to talk about new jobs, old jobs, that creator will get 50% in perpetuity of that sale. So it was a way, even surprising him. He doesn't even know, but he is getting royalties. And then I took it one step further, and I actually went out and I created NFTs of an ebook that my wife made for me, a beautiful physical book, but also an ebook. And I sell that NFT for $54 all the way up to $5,000. And if you buy at $2,500, you get to sponsor the show. Well, it happened. You know, if you manifest something in life, if you will it, then you can manifest it, then you can make it succeed. GTM Hub bought, not only did they buy a sponsorship of the show at $2,500, Jeremy Epstein, the CMO, his words were, I underpaid for it. I didn't pay you enough. It's the first time I've actually even monetized the show in almost 2 years. And so it gives me great joy to be able to, you know, recommend GTM Hub and OKRs. And you can actually download their white paper right over there. So we want to thank them so much for their support. But I want to take it one step further tonight. You know that I've been giving away JAFFE coin. You know this. So I'm saying to you tonight that if you go and you know what to do, shine your smartphone on that QR code, on either of those QR codes. But there's going to be a slight little tweak tonight. Instead of giving away a quarter of a JAFFE coin, if you actually buy the NFT on the left, which costs $54, I will send you $56 back. So I will actually give you your money back plus $2. And now that you have this NFT gives you access to my community, to our community, gives you access to backstage passes, to reunion shows, to audition shows, to pre-tapings. This QR code, unlike most QR codes that I do, it's not just going to be live tonight. It will be live until midnight on December 31st. So if you want to get your usual JAFFE coin and get the NFT for $2 instead of $54 throughout the night, I will show you that QR code and you know what to do. You're going to click on it. You're going to follow some very simple instructions, and the rest is history. It's also Christmas card day, and I created my own Christmas card, my own holiday card in the form of an NFT. I showed it yesterday, and I'm going to show it again for you. The most important thing to remember is if you look near the bottom, you'll see Mr. Glenn Lundy himself rocking it out. This is my holiday NFT card.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
I mean, he's maybe when he comes on the show shortly, we'll do it together. That will be fun. But before he comes on, I am going to read to you, I'm going to deliver my final seated soliloquy of 2021. And it is called Finality. And I'll do a little bit of a play on that as well. These are words from my heart. This is the last show of 2021. There's a certain sadness or finality to it, but then again, I will be back in just under a month. I'm also moving to 1 p.m. I'm getting verklempt. I'm moving to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time starting in 2022. I am going to own lunchtime. Now, I thought about taking on Glenn Lundy at breakfast, but I'm no fool. I know who the king is, and I'm not even going to dare touch the incredible, impressive equity that is built. I'm pretty happy with 1 p.m. Lunch on the East Coast, mid-morning break on the West Coast, drive time or pub time in Europe, it works for me. I will say that I felt like late night JAFFE was gaining momentum, but I just couldn't handle and maintain the schedule, not without some assistance. But that said, I'm definitely reserving the right to revisit this decision in the future. My narrative now has a new component to it. In 2020, I reinvented myself. In 2021, I reinvented the talk show. And in 2022, I'm going to monetize it all. To be clear, reinventing the talk show is an ongoing journey. I'm just getting started. It's early in the process. Now, a big part of this is leaning into live, recognizing live viewers with JAFFE coin, walk-on rolls, backstage passes, and of course, comments. The NFTs I've created are access tickets to events, opportunities, and experiences which include special shows and surprises. Now to talk about the monetization component, let me first say that with Web 2.0 or social media, everything was free. All content was free. No one would pay for anything because there was so much of it. Hello, blogs. But Web 3.0 is different. In this ecosystem, everyone wins, and in the center of it is the creator. In this ecosystem, rewards are shared. This is where my JAFFE creator coin will play an increasingly important role. And the best part of it is that the community gains just by holding the coin. This is not a small idea. I don't need tips. I don't need gifts. I just need you to believe in me. I will continue to outwardly and publicly manifest my OKR of being bought or syndicated by CNBC, CNN Plus, Cheddar, Vice, Axios, Apple TV Plus, Prime, Hulu, or Netflix. All of the above. Call me. It's important that I win, because if I win, we all win. If I win, you win. And then this is just the beginning. And I'm so humbled by this opportunity to serve you. And I will see you all in 2022. Just before we bring on Glenn, I want to recognize Gloria Bond is here. She says, hello, Glenn. Thanks for the invite. And someone by the name of Glenn Lundy said, hi, friend. So it must be an imposter. But let's bring the real Glenn Lundy on to the show. There's so many ways that I actually want to introduce this man, but we'll start off with this. He is a husband to one, a father to 8, host of the wildly popular Facebook live show Rise and Grind, hashtag Rise and Grind, and top clubhouse group Breakfast with Champions. He's been seen at places like Hustle and GrindCon, Grow Your Business for God's Sake, and many more stages across the country. Glenn has been spotlighted on ABC, NBC, and CBS, and is an expert in dealership culture development and leadership training. With 20 years experience in the automotive industry, Glenn led a dealership from 120 cars a month to an 800% increase in sales. Those are like crypto numbers in 5 years, becoming the second largest used car franchise in the country. I want to welcome him on, but before I do that, I want you to watch this wonderful, inspirational video.
So I'm literally standing like on the edge of death. I mean, 3 feet left, 3 feet right, 3 feet behind me. It's over. It's over, man. And sometimes when you stand in this place, right, where you face death, you face your fear, it's the most exhilarating feeling that you can possibly have in life, because this is what it's all about. It's about living, right? It's about getting the heart rate up. It's about getting the blood pumping and the blood boiling. And so that's what we keep trying to challenge you to do with hashtag Rise and Grind. We're just challenging you to push yourself out of your comfort zone, out of your limits, because when you do, you can soar with the eagles.
Love it. It's time to soar with you, Glenn. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is completely 100% my honor to be here. Thank you for sharing this space and time with me. And my goodness, dude, that intro was amazing. And your soliloquy,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever that thing
Exactly.
was, that was awesome.
Gesundheit. My seated soliloquy. Now, Marilyn Nelson is here. She says, hi, Glenn. Happy to be here. Hello to you as well, Joseph. And Glenn, another Glenn, says, everyone's talking about Glenn. Well, I mean, he would say that, wouldn't he?
He would. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Gloria. Hey, all of y'all. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
All right. So, you know, it is Christmas card day. So I have to ask you, well, what are you doing this Christmas period, this holiday period? What are you doing that is branded and unique, like probably only you could do?
Oh my gosh, what is branded and unique that only I could do during this Christmas season? I am taking 6 days. There'll be 6 days next week, between next week and the following week. There will be 6 days where I will take each of my children out to Christmas shop for their siblings. So I'll take my 12-year-old Savannah and just her and I will go hit the stores and she'll buy a gift for each of her siblings. And then I'll take Joel, then I'll take Meredith, then I'll take Willow, then I'll take Oakland, then I'll take Fisher. And so those six will go with me on a daddy daughter or daddy son trip, and we'll pick out gifts for all of their siblings. And my guess is there's probably not a whole lot of people that are going to be doing that during this season.
Well, I mean, certainly with 8 kids, I would agree. You know, you do something that I've done with my kids as well. Alas, only 3, which is the one-on-one time. In fact, I've taken all 3 of them to South Africa or to the UK or to Paris. Or it is magical when you can actually focus on one kid at one time. Those moments are forever.
No doubt, man. And there are different personalities in the pack and out of the pack. So recently, a couple months ago, I saw some white space on my calendar. And so I told each of the kids that they could pick a destination anywhere that they wanted to go in the United States, and that we would go, just the 2 of us, and we would go to that particular destination. But they only had 48 hours. It was a 48-hour window. So if they wanted to go to California, it was going to take 15 hours to travel, 15 hours back. And so I ended up going to Universal Studios, SeaWorld, Disneyland, and Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee, each of 4 weekends. And when I spent those weekends with my kids, oh my gosh, man, I learned so much about them, like who they are when they're out of the pack, right?
Mm.
And sometimes you don't even realize, just as parents, we're doing our things, but there's definitely different personalities in the pack versus out of the pack. And so that was an incredible experience. Something I hope to do with them every year is just get that one-on-one time, let them pick a destination and go have a little fun.
I love that concept, that phrase of out the pack and in the pack.
Mm,
It makes me think of a pack of wolves, but it also makes me think of how in these challenging times with social media now, with the metaverse, etc., people are struggling to demonstrate their individuality, their originality, and it's important that certainly as parents that we do everything in our power to remind and encourage and empower our kids to be themselves out the pack, and maybe be able to, I guess, bring it back into the pack as well.
yeah, 100%, man. And I think it's even a next level of conscious thought when it comes to that. Like, the pack is not just out there, the pack is in here too, right?
Mm,
So one thing that, my father was very adamant about me playing basketball. That was his dream. He was a basketball player. He loved played basketball for the military for 13 years. Like, his passion was basketball. And so he wanted my passion to be basketball so badly that he actually pushed me away. Like, I didn't want to play because he took it so intensely, right? And so I think as parents, we have to be careful that our um, mindset, our perspectives, our beliefs, all of those things. We have to make sure that we don't press too hard. We have to understand that these are individuals. Yes, they've been placed in our care, and it's our job to guide them, right, until they can reach a point where they can go out and be a contributing part of society. But if you really look at it, the parenting gig is it's a 1/5 gig. We're supposed to parent them for 20 and hope they live to 100. And so I think that outside is important, but also in the house, make sure that we're not trying to turn our kids into who we hoped we would have been, and instead allow them to grow the seeds that exist inside them.
Gloria picks up on that beautiful quote, which is, "The pack is in your heart." So what are you saying, that my kids shouldn't become talk show hosts, uh, crypto wannabe millionaires? And I stress the word wannabe. Um, all right. So
They should
I
be if they want to be. If
They
they want
should
to
be
be.
if
That's
they
the key.
should be. I love it. They should be if they want to be. Now, I received a beautiful, beautiful gift this week, which was a breakfast of champions. This is fantastic. Talking about brilliant, brilliant branding. So here I have my Wheaties box, and I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing. In fact, this is the only time that I'm going to be bigger than my guest, just so that I can have a bit more screen. So I'm going to open it. I don't want to tear it because it's so magnificent.
Oh, well, thank you.
And inside, in beautiful orange wrapping,
That's right. That's right.
it's all branded. It's an NFT. No, it isn't. It's wow. Look at this. It's a beautiful, beautiful breakfast with champions T-shirt, and one day I hope to wear it. Yeah, you know what? It was worth it was worth a shot to do a little bit of a quick change. I'm wearing my Breakfast with Champions t-shirt. A little bit of this is what happens with a production team of one.
Believe me, dude, I get it, man. I've done 1,000 episodes of hashtag Rise and Grind at 5:30 a.m. I've never been able to get anyone to join me. It's been full production, all on my own. So I totally get it, and I appreciate everything you're doing right now. You're blowing me away, man. I love
Robin Welshan says hi, Glenn, and Louise Brown says hello, Sir Glenn. You just got knighted as well.
Oh my gosh.
So I love the shirt, by the way. It feels soft, and it is the perfect size as well. Gloria
Awesome.
is laughing, and Gloria, you don't have to laugh alone because generally I have my own laugh track as well. So I don't feel so alone when the voices in my head are talking to me.
Oh my gosh.
Louise says, Glenn, loving seeing what God is doing through you. There's really so much to talk about, but I wanted to start off with something that really, really touched me, Glenn, which is on your website are core values. And I thought to myself, wait a second, you don't see this often. I teach brand strategy at NYU. We talk about brand values, but these are human values. These are core values. They are brand values, but they're personal brand values. And I would love for you to walk us through your core values because they certainly speak to the man you are and the light that you shine around.
Oh, well, thank you, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And, these 4 words have really helped. They've really helped us as a company, as a family, and as on our mission. They've really helped us to really figure out what to say no to, even more than what to say yes to, right? So when you're real clear on the core values, which in this case, rise, evolve, impact together. So I believe that if we can help people rise every single day with intention and purpose, that they then will evolve into the absolute best version of themselves that they can possibly be. Ultimately, going out and making an impact on their friends, their family members, their coworkers, everyone that they come in contact with. And the best part is, this is something that we can do together. So that was the premise and our core values between Rise and Grind, the show that I started 4 years ago. And we then integrated those into our business. So now when we see a business opportunity, it's real quick. It's a quick check. Is it something that helps people rise every day with intention and purpose? If there's a check on that, then we keep going. Is it an evolution of our business? We should always be evolving and growing, right? So if it helps us to evolve, then yes, check number 2. Is it going to be impactful in a positive way? Net positive is key and crucial to everything that we build. So is it going to make a positive impact? If the answer is yes, then we can keep going. Is it something Glenn has to do by himself, or is it something that we can do together? If it's something we can do together, then I can say yes. So if it checks all 4 boxes, then it's very easy to say yes. If it doesn't, it's very easy to say no. And so we really put that on the website because we want to make sure as we bring people into our ecosystem, into our community, people that are looking to partner with us, do business with us, those types of things. We just want to make sure the expectations are set right up front. This is what we're all about. This is who we are. This is what we say yes to. This is what we no to. And it just avoids any kind of confusion moving forward.
There's a very key point that you made there, which is the ability to not just create a rubric that helps you, a code that helps you figure out what you want to say yes to, but sometimes it is as powerful knowing when to say no and how to say no and what to say no to. I also love how you threaded all 4 together as a narrative, as a story, as
Mm,
opposed to 4 pillars or legs of a table. I actually took a stab inspired by you of my 4 values, and in all 4 cases I couldn't decide between one. So this is what I came up with. Number 1 is integrity and honesty.
mm,
This is not an optional extra, it is just mandatory. It's the ante up. Do the right thing even if it's the hardest thing. The second
mhm,
is joy or passion.
mm.
Without it, I'm nothing. I'm just an empty shell. And during these crazy times, it is the joy that you give me right now, being my final guest. Also the joy that I can give people back in return. The third is originality or innovation. It's
Mm,
it's it's not being different for the sake of being different, but it's this idea that we can be different. We can be creative to the point where we can experiment and create NFTs and do little things and just who knows, maybe just change the world. And then the final one is endurance, and I put this one in just for you: grind,
yes.
tenacity, the grit. But it's endurance. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. What you are building right now, we can see, is not just seeds anymore. We can see what is sprouting up, but it is a marathon, not a sprint. So that's inspired by you. Maybe I'll even put them on my website.
I love that, man. Great, great, great for core values. And man, that word grind, sometimes people can look at it a little bit differently. Grind can be some people see that as a negative, but I definitely see it as a positive, man. If you look back to where the word actually derived from, the word grind came from this motion. It was a repetitive motion that got to a result. That's how it's defined, a repetitive motion that got to a result. So it's one thing if you're doing a repetitive motion, you're going to work every single day, you're working from 9 to 5, you're going through the motions, but you're not getting the result that you're searching for. That's not true grinding. That's just like the hamster wheel, man. It's all about getting an end result. And those results is what fuels you. That's where the passion comes from. Is like, oh, we just unlocked something else. Oh, we just unlocked another thing. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And that's where really that word evolve plays into it plays in is as humans we want to constantly be evolving. I love that you're diving into the NFT world, the rally coin, all of that stuff as well. I'm dipping my feet in just a little bit. I committed to 15 minutes a day of learning in the world of cryptocurrencies and NFTs. I did get my Matrix NFT, which I'm very excited about. That was the first big NFT that I bought. I have a couple crypto coins and learning all those things, man. So I love that you're doing that. But even that falls right in line with what we're trying to do, right? We want to evolve as a company so that we can create opportunities to make an impact in other people's lives, and we get to do it all together. That's the best thing I love about the crypto world and the NFT world is it's all about community. It doesn't work without community. There is no solo kingpin at the top of the corporate ladder that's going to win the whole thing. It simply doesn't work like that. There's no Elon Musk, per se. He's in the NFT world, but or the crypto world, but you know what I mean. There's no big head of this corporation that is making all the moves. It is the community combined, collectively, together that makes it work, and that to me is what makes it fascinating.
Amen. Amen. That was well said. And I I'm looking at amazing comments from your community as well. Louise says, integrity and honesty all the way. I'm adding faithfulness and sincerity. Kathy Chilewa Freeland says, consistent discipline compounded daily equals transformation. That's
That's right,
another
Kathy.
that's a magic word, transformation. And it's just wonderful. Angelina says, yes, let's go, rise, evolve, impact together. So, you know, I listen to you, and I pop in and out of these rooms, and what I notice, and when I say I listen to you, I'm not necessarily listening to you. I see you in the top left, but I don't see you dominating the conversation. I don't see you having to always have the first word, the middle word, the last word. You just I can almost see you smiling. But you're there. It's not you're there, you're not sleeping. You let everybody talk and you let everybody share the limelight. It is very, very noticeable to see. So I did my homework as
Thank you.
well. So I try to, by the way, if you do go to the Urban Dictionary and you look up rise and grind, there are one or two definitions I would have you stay away from, and we'll just leave it at that. But but this is what I found. You see, we have a little bit of fun here as well. This was the definition. And Glenn, what I loved about what you said, Einstein said the definition of insanity was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. The grind is the ability to do the same thing over and over again to get a result. So
right.
it is grind with purpose. It is grind with purpose, and that comes across very, very clear. So here's what I want to do. I see all these wonderful comments. So Mario says, "Is there a link to the NFT we should buy?" Yes, there is. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something I've never done before, which is I'm going to show a 3-minute promo video of Glenn's, because it's not promo at all. This is content. This is enthralling. I normally cut it down. I don't want to cut this down at all, but I'm also going to give you 3 minutes if you want. I just posted the link in the comments where you can go ahead and buy the NFT. And remember, once you buy the NFT, that NFT should activate that link, and you will get something from me. I'm not taking anything from you. If anything, I'm just inviting you into the community. But while you're doing that, so take a snapshot of that QR code up there. You have the link. Enough about NFTs. Let's focus on this wonderful, wonderful story. Sit back, get yourself a drink, and just watch Rise and Grind. Wow, amazing. I want you to tell us the story. I want you to tell us your origin story, because you are a bit of a superhero. How you came to start a Facebook Live, how it evolved into almost an always-on community of the force on Clubhouse, and where it is and where it's going. Because as God made little green apples, I think you might beat me to CNN or CNBC or Axios or Apple TV Plus, but I'll be cheering behind you every step of the way. So I would love to hear your story.
Well, thank you. You're super, 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 super kind. Rise and Grind originally came from an itch, what I call this itch. And this was the time that Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee, and there was a lot of commentary, a lot of division. There was a lot of things going on in social media that were extremely negative. And every time I'd pop in to social media, I would see this division, and it started to really, really bother me. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to scroll past this or whatever. Like, it started to eat away at me. It was like this itch in my gut. And, the lesson that I learned, and I'll share with everybody that's listening, is when something really hits you, it's really starting to bother you. I believe that's God's way of telling you that you're supposed to do something about it. Don't just complain about it. Don't just allow it to eat away at you, but actually do something about it. So I knew that I could not eradicate violence and negativity in the world of social media. I knew that was impossible. But what I could do is I could create one little tiny space where it would be nothing but motivation, education, and inspiration, where there would never be any talks or discussions of violence or division or politics or any of those things. There's plenty of space for that in the rest of the world. This space would be safe. So then the following thought was, okay, great. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to create a little space on social media. I'm going to create it live. When can we do it? I have lots of kids. I was running a dealership at the time. It's like, okay, when can I do it that I can guarantee nothing's ever going to get in the way? If I try to do something at 7 o'clock at night, there's a chance a dinner could get in the way. If I try to do something, in the middle of the day, there's a chance that an appointment or whatever. And so I had to find a time where nothing was going to get in the way no matter what. And so that's how we settled on 5:30 a.m. being the time for the show. My kids aren't up at that time. I never have any appointments at that time. And so I started going live at 5:30 a.m. on January 6th of 2018. And the business side of me also kicked in. So it was like, okay, we can make an impact. We can create a safe place. This is when we'll do it consistently. And then from a business and marketing side, Joseph, it was like, okay, I know that people first thing in the morning, this is when their minds are really consuming. And so from a branding aspect, it was beautiful, right? Because I worked at a dealership at the time. So I'd wake up every day and I'd say, my name is Glenn Lundy. I'm a husband to one and a father to, back then it was like 5 when I first started, or whatever the number was. A father to 5, and also the general manager at Dan Cummins Chevrolet and Buick in Paris, Kentucky, the second largest used car franchise dealership in America. It's 5:30 a.m. and I hope you're ready to rise and grind. And I'd say that every day, right? So we were doing the marketing piece. People were connecting me with the brand, that positive energy, that positive feeling, that positive emotion. They were connecting it with the brand. We were also changing the way people started their day. Instead of starting with news and violence and politics, they were starting with motivation, education, and inspiration. And we were creating this safe space. And so at first, nobody really watched it. There was a few people, and then there was a few more, and a few more, and a few more, and it started to grow. And we started to get messages about the impact it was making in people's lives. And so we continued to compound. And then next thing you know, people were like, we love this rising grind thing. We need like a t-shirt that we can wear. So we started doing t-shirts, and that led to hoodies and hats, right? That led to hoodies and hats and all of this branded stuff. So we started the clothing line, and then people wanted to be in a group. So we started the Rising Grind group so that everybody could come together outside of 5:30 a.m. and it just continued to expand. The community said, hey, now that we've got all these people together, what kind of an impact can we make? And so we started doing something called Rising Grind Offline. We would raise funds. Ultimately, since we launched Rise and Grind in January of 2018, we've now raised, with the most recent thing that we did, we've raised just over $900,000 in the last 3.5 years, or going on 4 years, just over $900,000 for different charities and people within our group, people battling cancer, homeless people on the streets, battling human sex trafficking, all of those things. And so it's grown and expanded and compounded. We had the 1,000th episode of Rise and Grind was on November 5th of this year. We had the 1,000th episode. I, like you, kind of put the Rise and Grind show itself into a little bit of a hiatus as we are evolving to what's next. And what's next really is this thing called Breakfast with Champions. So go back to January of this year, 2021. And in January, I was running into all the problems that you run into on Facebook with being censored, being blacklisted, being shadow banned. We were running into all of those things, and it was really frustrating. And so all of a sudden, Clubhouse, this new app came out, Clubhouse. And I went on, Joseph, and I was fascinated. I spent 16 hours on Clubhouse the first day. Like, what is this? This is incredible. There's people, there's celebrities. We're having conversations. We have access to all of these humans. And so that was on a Saturday. I spent 16 hours, did like zero sleep. And then Sunday, I wrote an email to some friends of mine, and I said, hey, we have an opportunity to expand our reach and to continue to change the way people start their day on this new app called Clubhouse. I'm going to start live streaming over there at 5:30 a.m. I'm going to take the show and stream it to both places. And then I want to build a whole ecosystem around it. So instead of just Glenn talking for 30 minutes a day, What if Glenn could talk for 30? Joseph could talk for 30. My friend Liza could talk for 30. Brian could talk for 30. And we could have a whole 6-hour window where we're impacting lives on the East Coast, on Central Time, on West Coast. And we're changing the way people start their day, not just in the US, but ultimately around the globe. And so I sent an email out on that Sunday after being on the app for 16 hours. I said, we're going to be the #1 morning show in the world. And here's how we're going to do it. And if you'd like to be a part of it, please let me know. Otherwise, I love you. Thank you so much for being my friend. You mean the world to me. And then I opened my first room on January 8th, or sorry, the first Monday of January of this year. And that very first room popped. We had over 3,000 people in the room. It was insane. And since then, we've been running every single day, Monday through Sunday, because we have a little different thing on Sunday. But Monday through Saturday, we're 6 hours a day. We now have over 70 different contributors that contribute to the different segments throughout the day. And we're starting to work with some other brands and some partnerships to be able to continue to expand this idea of rise, evolve, impact together. And so Rise and Grind is really evolved into Breakfast with Champions. And the staple has always been the morning five, right? This morning routine. If you change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact in your life. So that the future is Breakfast with Champions. The evolutionary process has been about 4 years, taking Rise and Grind from what it is, which will always be the core. It'll always be on the back of our necks. It'll always be on the basis of everything that we do. And now we're expanding to a more global platform that includes all of the champions. That's not so self-serving as far as not just Glenn, if that makes sense.
So what I'm also hearing is Glenn saying, you know what, I would quite like 1 or 2 mornings every month to just sleep a little bit later, maybe just a little bit. But you know, I always find a quote for my guests, and before I show the quote, if I had to deconstruct or unpack what you just said, and I try and do that obviously with 309 guests, you get a real opportunity to look at points of parity and points of difference. The thing about, first of all, you had vision early on. You saw something and you immediately acted. That's what most people don't do. They don't act. You didn't just act, you acted with purpose, and you acted with a circle of influence that you knew would share your vision as opposed to cut you down or tell you why you were wrong. So you immediately, you sent this email and you put that plan into practice. And it's hard to believe. I mean, in January of this year, as I was saying earlier, I didn't even know, I barely knew what Bitcoin was. In January of this year, Clubhouse wasn't even a platform for you. And I try and tell this to people all the time, Glenn. I say, you know, that, I mean, it was said on the show last night with Whitney Lauritsen. They say the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. That's what you're doing, and you're inspiring people. And, you know, even though this is the first time you and I are talking face to face, I've been watching you, I've been listening, and you have inspired me as a talk show host. You've inspired me to keep going and not give up, no matter what the views, the downloads are, just because I know that we share the same passion and purpose, which is to help people, hope, positivity, and optimism.
Absolutely, man. 100%. You and I have walked many miles on the same path, and I understand those frustration points that we hit. But blasting through those, you know, now I can look back and go, golly, I have learned so much in this last season, like so much, man. I am a freaking wicked producer when it comes to producing my own show. I'm like a one-man band, man. I'm like the guy playing the accordion, the harmonica, freaking banging on the drums, all of the. I didn't have those skills before. I didn't have those before. And now if anybody needs me for a keynote, they're like, Glenn, can you do a 30-minute keynote? I'm like, give me 4.5 seconds and I can prep a 30-minute keynote, because I've done 1,000 of them at 5:30 in the morning every single day for the last 4 years, right? So those frustration points in the moment, they were frustration points. And now I see how those were the things that were chiseling some of these muscles and skills that I'm going to need moving forward as we do move to Apple TV, as we do move to NBC, as we do move to some of these bigger networks, and we start changing the way people start their day all around the globe through nationally syndicated type programs. I've already got the skills. I'm ahead of the curve, and I know now that I am so grateful for those lessons that I learned, even though they were a pain in the rear end as I was going through them, for sure.
I want to get back to that for a second, but Louise says Breakfast with Champions is the absolute best, and Verlin White says Mr. Glenn the Planter. Well, in my accent, the planter, the planter. You're planting seeds every single day and reminding people that they can plant as well. That this isn't this isn't a voyeuristic outside looking in. This is not a spectator sport. Rise and Grind is not a spectator sport.
That's right. That's right. 100%, man. 100%.
So
Something we got to do together. Let's go.
let's do it. So I've been listening to you on and off now. I go to cardiac rehab 3 times a year, 3 times a week. I wish it was 3 times a year. I wish I had cardiac rehab 3 times a year. But I've been going 3 times a week, and it's amazing to me that I'm up at this time, and I think, how does he do it? How the hell does he do it? And so this was the quote that I found for you. Sunflowers end up facing the sun, but they go through a lot of dirt to find their way there. And it just it reminded me of how important sometimes it is to grind and to battle, and that this is all part of the recipe for success. I would love for you to share some thoughts on maybe some of the challenges and some of the dark days and the difficulty, because I always say this to people. I'm going to say it to you, and then turn it back to you, Glenn, which is, Joe Rogan, when he sold his podcast, do you know how many episodes of his show he was on when he sold?
I don't.
Just take a guess. It's not a trick question.
576.
So by the way, this quote is from J.R. Rim. It was in the 1500s.
Oh, wow.
And so I think to myself, and this has reminded me throughout the process, which is, you want to throw in the towel, you're just getting started. But remember, there is someone in a year's time that wishes they could be where you are right now. So I would love for you to just share an insight or two on maybe some of the challenges that have kind of maybe threatened to deter you, but ultimately ones that you've overcome and certainly have made you more resilient, more stronger as a result.
Rise and Grind has been an interesting thing. Like one thing that some people don't know, I write that show, or I used to write that show. I haven't done that show since November 5th, so it's been about a month. But I used to, I'd write the show the morning of. I would get up at 3:20 in the morning, go through my morning routine, and then at 4:00 a.m. I would write the show from 4 to 4:30. And then I would jump in my vehicle and drive to the studio. Then I would spend the next 40 minutes building the show, all of the production for that show, all of the B-roll videos, the images, the overlays, all of the things, the music, so on and so forth. And then I would go live at 5:30 a.m. And I did it that way because I tried pre-production of my show. And when I tried to do the show like my way and the easy way, what would have been a lot easier, record 5 episodes from noon till 5 p.m. And when I tried to do those, it really lost its authenticity. It lost the energy of the experience in the moment. It lost a little bit of its relevance and its impact. And so, though it was much more challenging to do it that way, like literally there were mornings, Joseph, where I would sit down and I would write, "Good morning," and then I would look up and I'd just say, "All right, God, what do you want me to talk about today? Like what I need, like I need some help, right? Because 1,000 different episodes with every single one of them being different. That's a lot of creative content. And so there were times where I would go, man, what do I have to say that I haven't already said? Or does any of it even really matter if there's only, if Facebook's not going to show it to anybody anyway? And every time, literally every time, as I went through the process and I just got the pen to writing, every single time, every single show, there was someone, whether it was a show that got tons of views or a show that got very few, there was someone that reached out and said, golly, what you said today is like you were speaking directly to me. I really needed that. You've made an impact in my life, right? And so that's what I would say to that is, yes, there are easier paths and easier ways, but if the goal and the intention is to create a legacy of impact where people will remember you not for what you said, but for how you made them feel, if that's the goal, then do what you gotta do to take action, to do it now, and dig your way through the dirt until that sunflower catches some sun rays.
I really felt emotional just now, and I think to that same moment, and I think there's been like a weird bond or kinship that you may not have been aware of, but I have, which is those moments. I've never missed a seated I've never
Right.
missed one unless there's been an exception. Like this week, I did a live dedication with my sponsor, but I've never missed one. And there are some times when it's 30 minutes before showtime, and I'm like, I gotta get this. And I know that I have 3 books, 4 books. Imagine writing 400 words every single day. And I had the same thing, which is, what if I run out of things to say? What am I going to talk
Mm.
about today? But somehow you always find a way. And then even one of my students tonight said to me, I just got he said I just got hired by PwC, and a central reason why I got hired was this class and how I was able to talk about it. I was teaching international business. And I just thought to myself, it's all worth it. Doesn't matter what a teaching salary is. I helped someone get a job.
Right.
What's better than that?
Right. That's huge. Yeah.
So I think it's, for me, what I take away from your beautiful story is, and what do they say? Dance like no one's watching, but someone is watching. As Gloria says, a download from above. Someone above is always watching,
That's right.
whether it is a higher power or our ancestors. But more importantly, if you can just touch one life, then you've lived a purpose. By the way, Mary Lynn Wilkins says, I get up at 4:40 to join Breakfast with Champions. I must go to bed. She wants to go to bed so she can wake up for tomorrow, which probably means you need to go to bed soon as well because you need to wake up. But he loves seeing you in prime time. Mary Lynn, I never disagree with my guest, but I have to tell you I disagree with you because prime time is 4:40 a.m. Prime time is 5 a.m. Prime time is 5. Prime time is not 9:57 p.m. I have to tell you.
Right.
And Louise says, watching history in the making here, Glenn. Blessed to be here. We'll be back on today and smiling. I've got to tell you, her saying I was there, if there are not many things in life that I can say I am sure about, but one of them is that I'm sure about you and what you're building. And I
Thank you.
also want to be able to say I was there. I was there at that moment. I was there. I had a chance to listen to his story and his humility. And by the way, Stephen just says it's about time you got a job. So and he's trying to keep me honest too. Well, maybe Glenn will hire me. Glenn, before you go, we have a correspondent on Thursday, Tom Morris. He's our resident philosopher. I never hear what he says in advance. He was a previous guest. He's become a good friend. But I just picked this one because the title of it is Obsession. And so let's watch it together. and then let's see what he has to say, and then let's respond, and then we'll wind it down so you can get some beauty sleep.
Hey, everybody. For the last week or so, I've been reading the novels of philosopher Iris Murdoch. First of all, her amazing comic novel, Under the Net, which I enjoyed a lot. And more recently, in the last few days, her book from the 1970s, I guess it was, The Sea, the winner of the Man Booker Prize in England. It's a book about obsession. It's also about jealousy, an egocentric approach to life, the power of inner fantasies for harm in the world. And after reading the book, I thought, obsession is a fairly common theme in world literature. Go back to the oldest epic we have, Gilgamesh. It's a story about a king's obsession with power. Then the Iliad, the Odyssey, you get Agamemnon and Achilles, their obsession with honor. You get Odysseus and his obsession with getting home, which is not really a bad one. You get up to, Beowulf and his obsession with reputation. For Don Quixote, it's an obsession with a kind of a self-image of fantasy. And with Moby Dick, it's Ahab's obsession with revenge on the whale. I could go on. Obsession is an inner passion that rarely turns out well. Despite a lot of business literature in the past 10 years that recommends obsession, it's never a good thing. It's never a rational thing. Yes, focus is a very good thing. Yes, commitment is too. Strong commitment, perseverance, persistence, all really good things. But obsession crosses a line into a kind of a fanaticism that's never healthy in a person's life or in its results. I've been reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein over and over the past few years. It's about an obsession for fame that we see as a common theme in our own time. I think we need to think about the concept of obsession more and how we see it recommended in modern times. It's a topic well worth your consideration, unless, of course, you get too fixated on it.
So obsession bad. What is the good equivalent? See how I just spring this at 1 hour into the show.
What is the good equivalent? So I think, it really comes down to intention and result. Intention and result. A self-serving obsession benefits no one. A obsession that leads to or ends nowhere, right? Takes you nowhere. Bad. Being obsessed about being a light in someone else's life, good. Being obsessed and having absolute passion towards getting a positive result that makes the world a better place, good, right? Like I am in love with my wife. I am obsessed with my children, but it's not for me. It's for the potential that I see in them. It's the gift that they bring to the world, right? That's where my obsession comes from. So when I listen to what he shares there, I do agree that there are multiple times in history and many in literature where obsessions that are self-serving ultimately kill self. But the obsessions that are outwardly and that have a result, I think those are the things that change the world.
This is a man that said, just give me 4.5 seconds. And he proved, being put on the spot, and I hadn't even heard what Tom had to say, that in 4.5 seconds, you didn't even need 4.5 seconds to come up with a absolutely brilliant answer. I would reframe what you said or paraphrase it just with one word: grind with a purpose. It is when you spoke about obsession, the thing about all those characters is there was no result. There was self-serving motives. They went mad because they didn't have a purpose. They didn't have grounding. They didn't have a foundation. They didn't have family. They didn't have the ability to share with others. You've created that, and I am just so thrilled to see what happens. And how, I mean, it is clear to me that Breakfast with Champions is a network, it is a community, it is a force of nature, and it will, and I say this in a neutral way, it will outgrow any one platform, because the community is bigger than any one platform. So I want to, by the way, Gloria says, great response. And Louise says, the right obsessions. It's about time somebody turned the tables on you. You shed the spotlight on so many people. I wanted to celebrate you tonight. And for those of you that are just learning who Glenn Lundy is and what his Breakfast with Champions family is becoming, it's time for you to rise and grind. It's time for you to follow him on Instagram, on Facebook, but beyond Facebook, there's no ring will rule them all, no platform will rule them all. Connect with him on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and subscribe to his channel on YouTube. He's easy to find. Glenn, it's a pleasure. Louise is going to have the second last word. As Rick Warren says, you are true example of a purpose-driven life. Glenn, I salute you. And okay, Gloria will have the last word. Breakfast with Champions is where it's at. Please don't forget to mention Morning S Planner. Is it 5 Planner or S Planner?
5.
So it's
morning
the 5 things.
planner. Yeah. The 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. It's the morning routine that has become a staple. It has become the thing that we all do together, right? Five simple steps, and so the morning 5 is an integral part of our community, and we have planners that we release every year that help people not only walk through those 5 steps each day, but also ties everybody into the community. We have daily quotes, monthly challenges, all of these things that we do together. So the morning5planner.com. That's the morning5 planner.com. You could spell it out, but it's the morning5planner.com, and you can go grab one of those if you want. So thank you for that.
Gloria says, I apologize, I was typing fast. It's okay, I was reading fast. Glenn, I have my morning 5, which is set my alarm for 5:30 a.m., set my alarm for 5:31 a.m., set my alarm for 5:32 a.m., 33 a.m. and 34 a.m. Get up, rise and grind, be part of this wonderful, wonderful community. And the last word, normally I would say goodbye, everybody. I'll see you on Monday. But in this case, I will see you January 10th. If you need me in the interim, I will be trying to find a nice warm climate, or I'll be hanging out with Glenn Lundy in the mornings. But the final word, Glenn, goes to Chuck Norris. He is the resident arbiter, and he tells us, what did he think? What does he think about Glenn Lundy and his mission and his purpose?
You are Chuck Norris approved.
Goodbye, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Be safe. Glenn, thank you for being my final guest of the year.
Thank you. Absolutely an honor and a privilege. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.